do that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Ha ha! Tricked you. Running a bit late. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, one or two things got away from me. In fact, I have spent the entire day practically on the phone today. One of those phone calls lasted nearly 3 hours, the better part of 3 hours. I was talking with a former SAS member, an officer, who had a great deal to say about a great many things. And I look forward to bringing you more details about that as we fiddle them out, so to speak, over the next little while. But I can tell you, folks, that the feeling amongst our special forces operators, if that's what you'd want to call them, is not very good. I have seen today a whole heap of different emails. I've seen posts on Facebook. I've seen one post on Facebook encouraging a jailbreak in trying to get former SAS members to break him out of Silverwater Jail. That's not going to happen, just between you, me, and the gatepost. Well, certainly not. Nobody I've spoken to have said that's going to happen. But there are some significant things that will happen in the near future, and I would think that the likes of Andrew Hastie will need to be very, very careful about what he says, what he does going forward. I think James Patterson came out yesterday on mainstream media in an interview saying that the politicians of this nation better be very careful about what they say, how they open their mouth, and what comes out of it with regard to Ben Roberts-Smith and the charges that he is currently facing. He'll be in court on Thursday. There is a bail hearing on Thursday scheduled. He already has some of the best lawyers in the nation working for him. And I want to make it clear right now, Gina Reinhardt, thank you. Thank you for the support that you are giving, not just Ben, but particularly Ben at this point in time. I am led to believe that Gina Reinhardt has come up with $5 million as a base amount to begin Ben's defense. She is also supplying a number of very, very high profile barristers, criminal barristers who will be on Ben's side for this. There is no guarantee yet that there will even be a trial. And people are asking why a military trial isn't going to happen when this was, a military action. He's been charged with war crimes. Can I explain that a little bit to you? And I might get this somewhat arse about face. I hope I don't. I should get it right. The reason that and there has been some suggestions that he won't even get a jury trial out of this. I can't see how that can happen because under Section 80 of the Constitution, particularly for a case like this, a severe case like this, he absolutely has the right for a jury trial and a jury of his peers. Where will we find in Australian society a jury of Ben Roberts-Smith's peers? Because unless you've been to Afghanistan, unless you've worn the uniform, unless you've hidden behind a rock on the side of the hill while taking very heavy fire from an enemy force, you are not one of Ben Roberts' peers. So how will they form a jury, do you think, of Ben Roberts' peers in Sydney? Well, the short answer to that is they have no intention of giving him a jury. If they have to give him a jury, it certainly will not be a jury of his peers. And these are things that we must be fighting for and helping the legal teams fight for, knowing that they have the country's support. It's not just me, and it's not just Sam and a few others who've gotten on this particular item. I think Channel 9, the lowest of the low mainstream media assholes in this country have lowered themselves yet again with the bullshit story they put out last night on 60 Minutes with that piece of filth, Nick McKenzie, that calls himself a journalist who has been caught on tape acknowledging that he has no journalistic morals, that he's broken those by informing Channel 9's legal team about Ben Roberts-Smith's legal strategy during the defamation trial. How did he do that? Because he had access to one of Ben Roberts-Smith's ex-girlfriends who was a bit jaded and was quite happy to talk. And then she pulled all that back. But that didn't stop that piece of shit McKenzie. And I refused to watch that 60 Minutes thing last night just on moral grounds. I'm not going to allow my brain to be filled with the filth of Channel 9 and the gutter journalism for which they are very famous, the checkbook journalism for which they are even more famous. And the lady concerned here, the one that Nick McKenzie broke his journalistic ethics over, was paid $700,000 by Channel 9, had to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. That didn't work out terribly well for you, did it? But she had to sign that NDA. She copped a $700,000 deposit in her bank account from Channel 9. Also, Channel 9 could keep the fact that McKenzie had committed crimes by sharing the Ben Roberts-Smith defense with the prosecution or with Channel 9's people. They buried it. They didn't let the girl come in and make her speak. In fact, they made sure she couldn't speak by signing an NDA and stuffing $700,000 down her throat. Absolute piece of work, Channel 9. I can't say much for the girl. I don't know the whole story in and out of that. But, regardless, Channel 9, filth. Absolute lowest of the scum of the earth. It used to be, oh, God, I remember I spent probably 15 years trying to fight my way into Channel 9 to work for them as a voice. And it was an interesting place to go in and do auditions and all that kind of thing. And I had some very, very good friends who were working there. Still do have some very good friends that are working there, but they don't make the decisions to pay out people $700,000 so that some pissweak journalist you bothered to employ can stay out of court for doing a criminal act. Also, Channel 9 could win that defamation case on the balance of probabilities. No actual evidence at all. We've also seen some interesting things coming out of Andrew Hastie's mouth. Can I tell you that I've learned a lot about Andrew Hastie today. I have learned a lot about Andrew, and none of it I've learned makes me like him anymore. In fact, it makes me dislike him a whole lot more. It makes me even more sure that Andrew Hastie is not and never will be a fit and proper person to lead this nation. He's a dog, a filthy dog. And now he's going to try and make political mileage out of Ben Roberts-Smith, a man who he never worked with. Never worked with. Hastie never got outside the wire in Afghanistan. Right? He stayed inside, protected for the most part, except for the locals that they decided to put in with our fellas. And, of course, 7 of those blokes got killed by supposedly friendly forces. Blue on green on blue, they were called, events. All because some fucktard in the Australian Defence Force, let me get on to the changes they've made there, decided to be a good idea to put Afghani national people in with our soldiers, embed them in our soldiers, sleep them in our tents. All good until one of them picks up one of our rifles and shoots our boys with them, isn't it? Ta-da! Congratulations. We've got the piece of filth on the left, who is the new DEI appointment as the head of the Australian Federal Police, Chrissy, whatever her name is. Personally, I won't bother remembering it until she goes to court and is charged for some of the things she's been part of recently. There's a lot more there. And this other thing on the right-hand side, this Susan Coyle, Lieutenant General. When I was floating around military types, the generals were generally fairly old. They'd had a lot of experience. That woman on the right-hand side is now in charge of our army. God help us. God help us. I mean, she clearly doesn't have the medals of the Chrissy woman. Why didn't they give the job to her? Because that Chrissy thing, look at all the medals she's got. Oh, God, she's got more than Ben Roberts-Smith. But unfortunately, not as many as, well, how did this woman get all those medals? I mean, I know how she got them. Most of them are just medals for turning up. Oh, yes, you participated. Well done. You get a little ribbon for that. You get a little bar you can put on there. You can feel very powerful and strong wearing that. Our Australian government has a lot it needs to be held responsible for, folks. And this business with Ben Roberts-Smith is going to be the beginning of the end of the Australian Defence Forces. I would urge you, if you feel as strongly as I do, to take a leaf out of my book and do what I did this morning. I decided I would send the Defence Forces recruiting a message. And I asked this message to be passed as high up the chain as it possibly could be. I wrote them an email. I won't bother reading it to you. But I would urge you to write a similar email. And I'm just posting the page up where you can find the email address. My email went along the lines of, for the first 18 years of my life, I wanted to join the Navy. And once I got into radio, I spent the next 25 years promoting the Defence Forces as hard as I could to join, get people to join. I was heavily involved with them, doing all sorts of tri-service training seminars. And if I had a radio microphone and an audience, I promoted joining the Army, Navy, or the Air Force very strongly. I'm responsible directly, people that I know directly that I have inspired or whatever to join the Defence Forces, and there's over 10 of those that I personally know, but there would be hundreds of others through what I've brought through the radio. I mean, I've been very lucky. I've done more things in the Defence Forces than most people in the Defence Forces get to do. I've driven, well, Leopard tank it was, not one of the new ones, but an old Leopard tank. It was still the only tank we had at the time. We didn't have Abrams tanks then. But I've driven Leopards. I've been in all sorts, just about everything that flies in the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. I've been on boats. I've been on submarines. I've been in attack fighter aircraft. I've been in carrier aircraft. I've been in all sorts of things. I've been very, very fortunate. And I have always loved the military, and I support and love every person who has served and continues to serve. I just feel terribly for you right now. And judging by the conversations that I've had today with a number of former and one current serving military officer, the morale of our Defence Force has gone through the floor. I cannot in good conscience recommend anybody join the Australian Defence Forces anymore. I mean, you would have to be mad to sign your life away, be sent off quite literally to World War III, and if you are lucky enough to come home alive from it, regardless of what state you come home in, mentally or physically, in 20 years' time, after the World War is finished, somebody's going to come knocking on your door saying, oh, you did something wrong. Yeah. And that person will be a fucking bureaucrat who has never stepped outside the wire in their life. That person will be a moron like Andrew Hastie, who sees a promotional opportunity for himself rather than being honourable with his team. Now, I know some of you are going to say, oh, look, well, if Ben Roberts-Smith committed these things, you know, he should be held accountable. I would agree. But he should be held accountable under military law if he committed these things. He should certainly have a trial if there is evidence of this in front of a military tribunal with a jury of his peers. But the reason that would never happen is because the jury of his peers, much less the board convened for the Board of Court-Martial, wouldn't understand why they were doing it, because this is war. Bad things happen in war. I heard a story of a former SAS, well, let's call him a sniper. He was on target. The target was over 800 meters away. It was what they call carded target. So you remember they go around with these sort of like playing cards and whatnot with bad guys' faces on them and that kind of thing. This guy was one of those cards. The shot was taken. The guy died. Now, that particular person who took that shot was approached many years, well, some years after they returned, with a view sniffing around a war crime. Why? The guy was a carded operative. Shouldn't have been any problem. Well, the problem was that somebody else died that day. When the person was shot, he was shot with a 50 cal rifle. The bullet went straight through him and unfortunately went straight through somebody else 1.6 kilometers away. That person wasn't even viewable through the scope of the rifle. So the bloke who shot the bad guy was all of a sudden going to be investigated for war crimes for killing somebody with that one shot 1.6 kilometers away. That didn't go very far, thankfully. And I trust it won't go any further. But who knows, with the madness that's being installed in Canberra right now. And it has to stop. It simply has to stop. This country cannot run like this. You and I cannot live our lives like this. This sort of oppression. Now, we're not the only country in the world that's finding life a bit difficult. And while I'm focused a lot on Ben Roberts-Smith at the moment, there is more that can be focused on, and the Irish are doing a hell of a lot of it. So they have gone mad over the weekend. Patriots have seized Dublin and other major cities. They took control over the weekend. Tractors, shit spreaders, all sorts of stuff. The government were out of their depth. The police were outnumbered, outmanned. In fact, 400 of the Guardia called in sick for the Sunday morning part or the Sunday part of the protest. 400 of them didn't bother turning up. But then somebody else did. This is Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, you might remember from UFC, a magnificent fighter. I don't know that he's much of a man, but he's a hell of a fighter. He came out and addressed the crowds. Human rights advocate has urged that all Irish citizens close their shops, skip work, and take to the streets in a dramatic stand against government dictatorship. This is planned for today, Ireland time. While Irish families are freezing in their homes and businesses are being bled dry by the extortionate energy costs, those in power continue to squander our money, carve up our land, and lie to our faces with arrogant contempt. Does this sound familiar, folks? I mean, he's talking about Ireland, but he could just as easily be talking about Australia. We're closing our doors, our shops, our sites, and our businesses so that the voice of the Irish people roars louder than their excuses, their lies, and their broken promises. No more bleeding the Irish worker dry. No more sacrificing our families, our farms, and our future on the altar of radical green ideology and endless foreign wars. We are Ireland. This is our stand for survival. This is our stand for sovereignty. This is Conor McGregor talking, and he would know how to fire up the audience. This is Ireland first. This is an Ireland first national strike in full effect. We will not be silenced. We will not back down. We will not surrender our country. To every farmer, haulier, trucker, builder, shopkeeper, factory worker, and every other hardworking Irish man and woman, join us and shut it down. I think Ireland is going to be closed today. It's been closed most of the weekend, and I think that is the way it should be. Australians, we've been calling for a shutdown for I don't know how long. There have been numerous calls. Wilson tried it. He must have run out of money. He couldn't promote it enough. Where is John Wilson? Has anybody heard from him? I think he disbanded everything and disappeared. No, I won't play that. You know what I was going to play. At any rate, what's going on is much broader than we Aussies probably felt initially. There is a lot of support for exactly the same issues that we are facing here in Australia all around the world. Now, I'll admit, Ireland is about the size of half of Victoria, I guess. I don't know, I've never been there. But it's a very rural island. Their cities are not Melbourne, not Sydney, and getting tractors and whatnot to those sorts of places is probably a bit cheaper than it is trying to haul your tractor 2,000 kilometres to Canberra. I don't know why a lot of the farmers around Canberra don't bring their tractors to Canberra. I can understand why the ones travelling a long way don't, but we've never seen a tractor on the streets of Canberra. In fact, the only time we've seen anything large on the streets of Canberra, they arrested the bloke driving it and took him 4 years to go through the criminal prosecution that they put against him to eventually be found guilty, very soft manner, be handed 2 very soft fines, thank God, and now his appeal will be going ahead in the coming months, and I will have Michael and Paul on to talk about Paul's appeal because he doesn't believe he committed any crime that day. If we had a few tractors there, it would have been much more difficult for them to be towing trucks away and doing stupid things. Will the farmers? I mean, the farmers turn up every February for their welcome back to Canberra for the politicians. Not one of them brings a farming implement, except their hat, maybe their dryers bone. I don't understand that. And you don't have to bring everything to Canberra. You don't have to travel to Canberra. Silver Fox, you don't have to. All you have to do is take your tractor out onto the main road and block it. That's all we've got to do. Stop transport in this country for a day. Stop it for 2 days. Stop it for a week. Take your tractors out onto the road. Take all your rusty old machinery that hasn't got your name on it, doesn't have any identifying things on it. You're the ones who've got the machinery to haul that sort of crap. Do it in the middle of the night and leave it in the middle of the busiest roads of this country and drive away. Bring this nation to a standstill. It's the only way we're going to shake some sense into the government. No, that's not going to shake sense into the government. But it will make them do something. And what they do might be the end of their government. Because what they are doing at the moment is so dangerous, so ill thought out, so badly planned, that we cannot possibly let this bullshit go on for another 2 years, surely to God. Now, of course, we've been hamstrung. We can't get rid of a government using the Governor-General like we used to because we don't have a Governor-General anymore. We have a Governor-General who works for the government. That dash is very important. Our Governor-General works for the Australian government, not the Queen's representative to the Australian government. It's the other way around. They are appointed as the Australian representative to the Queen. Therefore, they work for Albo. And that's why he's got his good mate Samantha in there now. So what do the people do when they can't use their constitutional triggers? Because, well, it seems all our constitutional lawyers in this country have forgotten the fucking Constitution. They've forgotten how to argue the Constitution. And more pertinently, we have lawyers in this country who will argue against it. What sort of filth are they? Our Constitution has been rolled roughshod. And to be honest, Ben Roberts-Smith's only hope is the Australian Constitution and some of the safeguards that it holds for him. But we have seen numerous times, that nobody cares about the Constitution. And if they break the Constitution and, to your detriment, you're the one that's got to file a constitutional challenge. You're the one that has to have the money to do that. You're the one that has to fight that constitutional challenge all the way through to the High Court, where it'll cost you over $200,000 just to submit your brief to some snot-nosed registrar who will decide whether or not it's going to be seen by a justice. And quite often they don't. They are the gatekeepers, those registrars. They can't put something that constitutionally might make the High Court justices actually work to the Constitution. God help us. That would be wrong. Our High Court is beholden to our government. How is that right? How is that fair? And the question is, what do we do about it? We all sit back and say, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. What can I do? I don't even know all the Constitution. I've never read it. Well, neither I. I haven't read it all. I do have it sitting over here. It's always handy to use as a reference. And if you want a copy, Tim Dwyer is the man to get it from, right? Very easy. He charges for them, but it's a very, very good book, leather-bound book. I can't get it sort of tucked up in a cupboard at the moment, but beautiful book. And I have read certain parts of it. Certainly the parts that I go and read are the ones that I need to brush up on for whatever topic I happen to be talking about at the time. But I've never read it cover to cover, no. But we've got constitutional lawyers out there who don't even bother raising the constitutional argument. Now, is that because our lawyers actually work for the courts? Their first duty is to the court, not to you. Never forget that. You might be paying the lawyer, but the lawyer's first duty is to the court and the court process, and not you. That means they'll protect the court before they protect you. That's exactly what they do, in my experience. So we have the filth in the lawyers, we have the filth in the politicians, and we have the filth in the judiciary. The whole lot's got to be cleaned out. Do we actually think Pauline Hanson and her crew are going to be able to do that? I don't. I have no faith whatsoever that One Nation will go in and clean out the people that would ignore our Constitution. I have no faith that One Nation will make those people accountable for the damages that they have wreaked upon this nation. I have no faith at all. But a lot of people in this country do have faith. So I'm happy to ride the wave, to push One Nation over the line, to get as much support as they possibly can. Because after that, we're going to watch very closely and see exactly what they do with that support. If there is enough there. Do you really think they're going to be any different? I hope so. I hope so. But I have some concerns. There is an awful lot of money in politics, apparently. Now, for senators and backbenchers and that sort of thing, they get their $200,000 a year. Pauline, I think, is up over 350-odd thousand a year now because she's the leader of a party, and now it's quite a prominent party, so it actually has party status. They've got people in both houses. A lot of these people come away with, they go into politics with nothing, and they come out with multiple properties, big bank balances, and declared pecuniary interests over $20 million. How do you get those sorts of assets while working for the people at Parliament, making $200,000 a year? Or 350. How does that happen? Who actually looks at the interest, the pecuniary interest register, and decides to ask questions? Where did you get this money from? How did you make that money while you were here working for the people on the 6.5 weeks a year that you actually have to come to Parliament and do anything? How did you make this money? I'd like to see an inquiry into exactly the assets of every sitting politician and how they managed to acquire them. Some of them might be really good savers. Yep. Some of them might have won lotto. Some of them may have just picked up a brown paper bag, taken it home. That's another thing we could start talking about Afghanistan. Maybe Hastie would like to come on and have a chat about some of the money that was forked out over there to witnesses, to people who were wronged, supposedly, who lost animals, maybe in a raid. We could talk about the money that they were supposedly paid, or we could talk about how much of it came back to Australia in backpacks. That'd be a conversation I'd like to have. Don't think Andrew Hastie's going to be brave enough to have it. Don't think Andrew Hastie's brave enough at all to do much, to be honest. He's a sick, sick, sick little individual and should never, ever, ever be allowed to lead this country. He is a disgusting piece of filth. All right, I'm going to stop ranting for a minute, and I want to talk about somebody else who is a bloody marvellous member of this family and who has gone through a bit of a rough time over the weekend. You would all know Wapta has been in hospital for the last month or so, and he's had a couple of toes that have not been performing optimally, and yesterday morning it was decided that they should be removed. So the two toes that I did show a picture of a couple of weeks ago are now no longer with Wapta. He rang me just as he was going into surgery, and we talked after he came out of surgery yesterday. He's pretty upbeat. He's got to learn to, walk again. There'll be a bit of balancing he'll need to learn how to do. But there is one very good point. He said on the ship he's going to be dangerous. If anybody gets out of line, he's now got a foot that's built like a dart, and you'll get yourself a leather enema, because those three toes in a slipper fit could get very tight. At any rate, brother, chin up. I know you've got a little bit of a battle ahead of you. And hopefully the next couple of days we'll see that enough healing has taken place so you can start putting a bit of weight back on the foot. And with a little bit of luck, you'll be walking on it in another week or so. And regardless of what happens, mate, you are coming on the cruise, whether we've got to come and get you and wheel you aboard or carry you aboard or do whatever, you will be coming. Have absolutely no doubt. And as I said to you, if it is required that you need somebody who's got the ability to change dressings and all that sort of stuff, I'm happy to volunteer for the job. And I do know how to do it. But if there is a bit of training that's involved, I'm happy to come up and learn what's needed. So you let me know, mate, and we'll look after you. Absolutely look after you. One Nation voted yes to the ASIO amendment bill. Well, One Nation, let's get this straight. This ASIO bill has not been voted on in the Senate yet, so One Nation haven't voted on shit. Unless Barnaby Joyce voted for it in the lower house. So that's all that's happened. The lower house vote has taken place for the ASIO amendment bill number 2. It's now pushed to the upper house, and it is due to go into the upper house in the next sitting of Parliament, which is the budget hearings. So One Nation haven't voted for that amendment yet. It will be interesting to see if they do, I would think. I haven't heard anything from Pauline or anybody else out of the party about that particular thing, so it will be interesting to see what comes of it. Now, I want to talk about, look, this is going to sound like me bringing people down, and I'm not trying to bring down people's party or people's parade or people's protest. What I am trying to do, though, is to understand why the protest in Canberra that Scott Challam is organising for his lobbyist group on August the 26th, April the 26th, why this is even a thing. I'm struggling because I've gone to the website and had a bit of a look, and they make no admission that Parliament isn't even open on the 26th of April. There will not be a parliamentarian in Canberra. But on their website, there is this little doozy of a line. Thousands of Australians are marching in Canberra on the 26th of April to demand better for this country. Demanded of who? Because none of our politicians are going to be there. If you can't be there in person, your flag can be. Purchase an Australian flag for $10 and we'll plant it in your honour at the rally. I particularly like the last line. Be seen by our politicians. Where? On the telly? Do you think that the news are going to cover this, Scott? Because that's the only way the politicians are going to see it. Because they're not in Canberra. What is the sense of going there? Oh, well, he has a few ideas. I particularly like the idea of taking a flag and planting it for you so nobody can see it. They'll charge you $10 a flag, all right? And you can buy up to 200 flags. Oh, sorry, 20 flags, up to $200 worth. The proceeds go to fund the fight. Well, we're all fighting, and right now we're broke. We've been fighting so hard, and we just paid our StreamYard account. Vince tells me today that we now have less than $14 left in the account. Who wants to buy a flag? I'll go and plant it wherever you'd like. Would that help? Would it make you feel better if I planted a flag, I don't know, on the Gold Coast beach? It'd have as much use as being planted in front of fucking Parliament House on April 26th, except more people would see it on the Gold Coast beach. So, I've asked 3 or 4 times now for Scott to come on the show, and I just don't get a reply. And that's fine. I don't care whether I talk to him or not. I would just like to ask him these questions. And as he won't come on and have me ask him here, I'm going to ask him here without him. Why are you doing this on April the 26th? Your website makes it pretty clear that you are a lobbyist. You are trying to form a lobbying group, and you are going into Canberra to lobby on our behalf. Well, Punter did that. I think he raised $80,000 or $90,000 to get his lobbyist ticket. Is that what you're trying to do here, Scott? You want to get a lobby ticket too, so that you can walk into that place and swill around with the parliamentarians who you obviously have access to already because you put them on the stages every time you organise an event. So why are you insisting and putting in your bit of piece, be seen by the politicians? What politician is going to see your flag? Maybe the ones that live in Canberra. I think there's one, might be 2, might be 3. But do you really think Katie Gallagher is going to turn up to your event, Scott? That piece of filth? Yeah, not likely. Not likely. I mean, you might get the football player. He might turn up. So you'll get one politician who's roundly ignored by all the other politicians in that place. He might turn up, but when he goes to tell all his mates about it, when they finally come back to work, nobody will be listening. Nobody cares. Wouldn't you do better to hold this event on a day when there are politicians in Canberra? Okay, that means a weekday. Yes, harder for people to get to. Yada, yada, yada. I know. But why couldn't you hold it on a Friday? Plenty of Aussies look for a reason to have a long weekend. Leave Thursday night, roll up on a Friday while the parliamentarians are still in Canberra. Or why don't you hold it on a Monday? Or a Saturday, Sunday, Monday during sitting fortnights when these parliamentarians will be in Canberra and most likely swanning around the fucking pubs where we could maybe have a word with them, although they'd all be hiding fairly well behind their penfolds in private rooms, I dare say. Why is this not being done when politicians are in town? How stupid is it to try and go to be seen by our politicians in a place where our politicians won't be? Well, it's not stupid if you're collecting $10 from everybody who says, oh, look, Scott, I'd love to drive 15 hours to Canberra and waste, let's be gentle and call it $300 in fuel to drive down, be seen by nobody, to listen to you and a couple of your mates stand up on the stage and rail at the politicians who won't be in Canberra to hear it and certainly won't bother watching it online. I just don't understand. I'm happy to promote it if I can understand it. But I don't understand how this is going to benefit us. We would do better on the 26th of January to hold a protest out in front of Silverwater Prison in support for Ben Roberts-Smith. They are going to be doing that in Melbourne on the 26th. Public rally. Get along to that one, folks, 12 o'clock. You don't have to drive to Canberra for it. You don't have to pay $10 for a flag that a politician will never see. But you can bring Melbourne to a halt pretty quickly from 12 p.m. on Sunday, April the 26th. I would encourage all people in Victoria to get along to that. And there will be others, I'm sure. But to drive to Canberra, I mean, okay, it takes a lot for me to go to Canberra in the first place. I don't find it a terribly comfortable place to be. It just feels evil. So I'm prepared to go for a good cause, but I'm not prepared to submit myself to the evil just because somebody wants $10 out of me and I get to plant a flag that a politician will never see. I'm all for you being a lobbyist, Scott, if that's what you want to be. All for it. Well, what sort of a lobbyist are you going to be? Punter. I think we know what sort of a lobbyist he's going to be. He's going to be on the gas guys pretty hard. And they've got an attack ad out against him at the moment, which is good. So he must be doing some good. But what about you? I mean, thank you for your service, Scott. I know that you are a former RAFI. So thank you for your service. How can we better plan this? How can we make this a better outcome for the people rather than just a great outcome for your bank balance? I don't begrudge you getting $10 a flag. I do not. I'd like to know why you're asking for it, whether or not this lobbying thing is what it's for, to pay for that ticket, because you do have to pay for them one way or another, I'm told. And then I'd like to know what you're going to do with it. But I guess we'll have to wait for the speeches, will we? Which I suppose will be live streamed because you've given people the out not to come. You don't have to come, just buy a $10 flag. Oh, shit, it's a lot cheaper to buy that $10 flag than, $300 in fuel and a night at the exhibition showgrounds or wherever I stay, or in a hotel or a motel or wherever. It's a lot cheaper just to donate $10 and have somebody else take the flag down and plant it for them. It's a very lazy way for the Aussies to get behind it, I must say, but it's a bloody brilliant way of raising some money. Bloody brilliant way of raising some money. Wish I'd have thought of it. Vince will be angry at me now because I didn't think of it. He got up me. He didn't get up me. He has just informed me that, we've had a significant expense in the last 2 days, and that is the computer. So we were able to put together some of the money for that, and we got a donation from someone else. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say her name or not, so I won't. I'll just say thank you very much. You know who you are until I find out if I can say your name or not. Thank you very much. So that has essentially helped us to buy a new computer for this one that is on its last legs. Poor old thing. She's having a bit of a hard time left, right, and center at the moment. Today was a cooler day, so thankfully, and just feeling the top of it now, it's almost touchable. But this thing does get extremely hot. The numbers keep sticking, and one day it's just not going to turn on. So we've bitten the bullet, and we've bought a new laptop, which is going to Vince to go and get all fixed up and streamlined and sorted and smiled upon and blessed and hacked and all that sort of stuff. He's in control of everything. So once he's got it, it'll eventually get to me, and hopefully this thing will keep going long enough so that we don't have a downtime. I do have something else I can go to air on. I just can't show pictures or anything off it. Vince will have to be pushing the buttons for me at those times if that's what happened. But we have quite literally about $15 left in the bank account. So if you could see your way clear to helping, we would be very, very grateful. We've still got to get this bus registered and headed south. Vince has plans, apparently. I'm not fully aware of them. But after the cruise, folks, the bus will be heading south, I'm reliably told. So As long as I can get the thing registered, I'm very happy to point it south. And South Australia will be high on the list of places to visit. Probably call through Victoria on the way, but we will be going to Wayno's at Wilmington, I'm led to believe. Plans are afoot. So if you are looking for a little social getaway, it's probably a bit more than a weekend drive. Wilmington is, I'm going to say conservatively, 5 or 6 hours north of Adelaide. It might be 4 to 6 hours north of Adelaide, on the edge of the Flinders Ranges. Beautiful, beautiful part of the world. And the Stony Creek Bush Camp is where we will be staying. Goes Vince first, let's say, re-educated. So, yeah, we're going to go along there. If you're into slot car racing, bring your slot cars, because he's got a hell of a slot car set up. We're going to bring RC cars because there is an RC track there on a basketball court. There is a river. It's called a creek, a Stony Creek. Don't bother bringing your fishing rod. Apparently not much by way of fish in the Stony Creek. But if you'd like to be part of that, reach out to either Vince or myself, probably Vince. He's coordinating these sorts of things. And we would love to have you. Or if you would prefer just to send us on our way happily, you can go to merch.vofhq.com/shop and check out our new shirts. We have a range of educational cups. I'm not sure if we've added to them. Vince might be able to put that up, whether we have or not. We do have a few more that we've planned cups. I think there are 4 or 5 different versions of the cup at the moment, trying to educate people on words like cacostocracy and, well, a few of the other ones. Quokka-wodgers is a favorite of mine. So not yet later tonight. Very good. Okay. So we will have other ones up later tonight, says Vince. So if you're a cup collector, and I know we have a few out there, then those two will be coming up a bit later on. There may also be another shirt. We are in the hunt for, we have really good quality T-shirts. I cannot recommend them to you highly enough, and they are long-bodied T-shirts. So sometimes if you have a certain girth, you might get yourself a XXL T-shirt, but it's short. It doesn't go down long enough. You won't have that problem with these T-shirts, I promise you. The ones that I've got, I can nearly wear as a dress, which I won't because I'm a bloke, but I could nearly wear as a dress. So don't worry about that. If you're worried about short body lengths, these shirts are really, really good. We're also looking for a new supplier for the hoodies. And coming soon, says Vincois, because the company that we're dealing with now doesn't do the same kind of hoodie that we were doing before, but there are other versions. I just don't think they're as warm. And God knows we want warm hoodies, don't we, gang? I certainly do, particularly if I'm going bloody south in winter. Who goes south in winter? I don't know. Well, I suppose if you're living in the northern hemisphere, you'd go south in the winter. All fun and games. What else do I have here to lead us out with? Oh, wow. Have you been enjoying the Not a Space Agency coverage? It has been quite exciting. I've seen 4 of the worst interviews with professional astronauts, I think, ever committed to video. These people do not come across as terribly smart. They weren't terribly able to have a normal conversation in front of the press. They were giddy with childhood excitement, and it was all a bit too much. It looked like some of the worst acting I had ever seen in my life. And then there are things like this that come out. Now, this was put out today as a qualifying picture to just say how made up the whole moon landing, moon splashdown thing was. And the argument that this person was using was, look at the NASA sign. There is a NASA sticker over the top of all the burnt offering left on the outside of the capsule there. You can see just under the left-hand side of the door opening. They were using that saying, oh, well, it's got to be fake because the sticker obviously didn't survive 2,800-degree temperatures coming through re-entry. And absolutely right, it didn't. But the other one for me would be nobody was wearing a gold helmet. None of the astronauts stepped out of the capsule. They were carried out. And the ship that you see in the background was about 6 kilometers away from the actual landing zone. In fact, probably further. So keep an eye out. There are many other problems with this video, but this is this picture, but it's an AI created thing. So be aware. I don't for one second believe that they went around the moon, but that is by no means a qualifying picture that says, oh, yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Do you want to know the other interesting thing about their trip around the moon? The portion of their journey where they were behind the moon lasted 42 minutes and 50 seconds. Do you know how long Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album runs? 49 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm sure it was just a coincidence. Just a coincidence. Tomorrow is going to be, or maybe overnight, is going to be a significant change of terms in the Straits of Hormuz. President Trump, who today has released a picture of himself as Jesus, I don't know what I can say about that other than, wow. At any rate, he has sent a couple of destroyers or frigates or ships into the Straits of Hormuz. This is one of them. It's sailing along quite happily. This is the two of them sailing along quite happily. Now, what they're doing is looking for mines or any other obstructions that are put through the main sea lanes in the Straits. At the moment, there is supposedly a mined area through the main sea lanes, which forces all the ships wanting to transit the Straits through a funnel right in Iran's territory. And this is where Iran has been negotiating a toll. Trump has come out in the last few days and said there will be no toll paying. We are going to clear the Straits of Hormuz, and you will be able to go in and out as you like. That's changed now to we are going to blockade any ships that pay the $2 million toll or pay the Iranian toll, and we will stop them from entering or leaving the Gulf. So I went and had a bit of a look at the marine map, and the only ships looking to enter or go through the Gulf at the moment are Pakistani oil carriers. Some are full, going out. Some are empty, coming in. Pakistan, of course, was key in the negotiations held over the weekend to try and end this war, with J.D. Vance at the top of the negotiating table in Pakistan, along with his contemporary from Iran and a couple of blokes from Pakistan who were mediating the whole thing. Apparently did a great job of mediating it. Went 21 hours and they got a bad result at the end. No, we cannot agree. But what we haven't got is more missiles raining down on Tehran or more missiles raining down on Tel Aviv. Oh, well, there's still time. And a bit of a ceasefire. I say a bit because at the moment there is a huge amount of Chinese air traffic being tracked into Iran, various places. And what would those aircraft be bringing? Well, you can be guaranteed they're not bringing tourists. They are transport aircraft. And the biggest intel drop of the moment is that it appears that the Chinese military are supplying Iran a staggering number of things called manpads, which are a surface-to-air missile system. If they are flying those in all over the country, then certainly those stealth aircraft, while provided some protection, might find themselves up against some new technology that can actually see them. We have had, I think, 2 F-35s shot down so far. They are meant to be as stealthy as they get, those F-35s, but, well, not so much. I don't know that we've lost any Hornets, F-18 Hornets. I think most of them have been F-22s. There's been a Warthog that's been shot, an A-10 Warthog that was blown up over the Gulf, shot down over the Gulf. The pilot got out. Interesting that they've been retasked, the Warthogs, the A-10 tank killers, have been retasked. The Army, the Air Force were trying to get rid of them. The Army own them, I think. We're trying to get rid of them because they're just such a big, heavy thing. But they can't replace them with anything that will do the same job. So now they've decided that they're going to repurpose them with the Navy as well and have them doing strafing runs on ships. Well, they've been over in the Gulf, but one of them caught a missile and went swimming. So don't know how many more of those we're going to see floating around the Gulf. What else do I have to tell you tonight? There is, I don't think we'll bother with that. No, I'll leave that for another night. There is great things happening in the country, folks. We've got to be, we've just got to be wary about throwing support behind everything. I know we're all seeking a solution, and many people see someone put up a solution and immediately start creating memes and promoting things to it. Please just be careful. Think through what you're promoting and ask logical questions. I don't want to be the person who is supposedly bringing down the movement by trying to attack others in it. And that's not my intention for what's going on in Canberra on the 26th. My intention is clarity. For what reason would we go to Canberra where our politicians aren't to plant flags that won't be seen by anybody who can change anything? I just don't see the point. I'm happy to have it explained to me. I'm not the smartest man in the world. I could be missing something very, very basic here. But I've looked at it a lot and I can't see it. So I'm very happy to have it explained to me. Please help me. $20 million spent on bullshit ads. Oh, the fuel ads. I haven't seen one yet, but that's hardly surprising. I don't watch free-to-air television. $20 million spent to tell you to take off your roof racks, it'll save you fuel, and to put air in your tires. Well, that will save you fuel to a point. Do you think you'll save more fuel if you put more air in your tires? Like instead of running, say, 36 PSI all around, maybe you run 46 or 56 PSI. That'd be great. Turn your 8 inches into 6-inch tires. Must run better then, won't it? Fuel economy? No, it doesn't work like that. But if you match it right, you will develop a bit of fuel economy from putting air in your tires. It's not a hard thing. Most people should maintain their car, have a look at the tires once in a while. A lot of people with newer cars, I suspect, only ever check it when their little beeper goes off and says, oh, you've got a flat left front or you've got a whatever, right front going down. So, yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed that one. 20 million could have built some public housing. Yeah, absolutely it could have. The cost of fuel. Well, the problem is they don't want the cost of fuel to come down. I mean, we have in fact, we've got more in our reserves today than we did when the crisis started. But the crisis is ongoing. Why is the crisis ongoing? Well, that has a lot to do with the government and the refinery. The refinery in Brisbane, the Lytton refinery, still hasn't contacted me. I'm still waiting. I rang again today. I'm still waiting for somebody from their media team to get back to me to try and explain why independent trucks weren't able to be filled as usual at the Lytton terminal. But every other petrol, every other main form of petrol tanker, Shell, BP, Ampol, no problems getting them filled, none whatsoever. But they'd only go and look after their servos, not the independent networks. They're trying very hard to bleed the country areas and Maybe they're looking to try and get some of those independent businesses back on board because there's money to be made out of it again. Who knows? Drive them to the wall. Speaking of driving to the wall, there are a lot of truck forums at the moment about fuel, particularly the surcharge on the fuel, the road tax that they place on it effectively. In fact, I watched a video the other day. A fella spent $3,500 filling his truck. And on top of that, there was a $653 road tax bill because he's a heavy vehicle. Oh, the damage they do to the roads. Well, okay, they do. But if we built better bloody roads, they'd do less damage. How stupid is that? Let's build better roads. It takes us 2 years to build a shit road now. How long would it take us to build a better one, for God's sake? Pie in the sky stuff, hey, folks. Gonna love you and leave you. Have yourself a good night. I'm sorry I was late tonight. And say your prayers for Ben Roberts-Smith. Keep whop that in your prayers for a quick recovery. And God bless everybody who keeps us all fighting on the straight and narrow for a freedom and a future for us all. Keep off the road, folks. There were plenty of dickheads on them in Queensland over the weekend. 2 of them very close to here. In fact, 3 of them very close to here. 1 motorcyclist killed and a couple killed in a Lamborghini Gallardo. Not very far from where I am, in fact, last night. So stay off the roads when the dickheads are out, folks. It's just hard to pick them.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay?